Hey everyone, I am in my old neighborhood in the West End, and I'm talking not just from just a couple of years ago in the West End, but on Davy Street, which is where I first grew up. And it's very, it's really interesting to be in this area. There's something really magical about it that makes me think of my childhood, and I wonder what happened to the version of Tasleem that stayed in this neighborhood from when she was a little girl. We lived in a little apartment that I kind of liked being in small apartments before moving to a house, and I'm just a couple of blocks from that apartment right now, and it's interesting for me to think about like who I would have been had I stayed here, or I'm going to say who the version of Tasleem in another dimension has become when she stayed here instead of moving to North Van. So this relates really well to my last video. I was talking about quantum jumping and moving from different dimensions, or taking parts of us that live in other dimensions and learning from those parts of us. The one that, maybe is a little bit more artistic or daring, or maybe the one that is more athletic, maybe the one that we haven't even experienced yet, that is some sort of business person or lawyer or doctor, or I was using the example the other day of architecture. And the thing is, this idea of quantum jumping, where we can access parts of us that we have not experienced yet, or want more back of. When we do that, we can actually open up spaces within us to heal, because going into a time or a part of us that we might have dreamed of experiencing and we didn't, we might not realize that it actually caused some sort of sadness, a closing off, regret, that can affect our bodies, that can affect how we show up in the rest of our life in this dimension. But knowing that there are other dimensions where we show up differently can bring us the ability to access those parts of us so that we can heal. We can show the us that is in this dimension what it feels like to be that daring artist, or to be that gymnast or that athlete that we might have regretted not continuing on from when we were a child, or maybe we saw other people doing it and we've never experienced it ourselves, but we really wanted to, and we don't realize that it kind of deadened a part of us that wanted to be alive, wanted to explore that aspect of us. And quantum jumping basically says that that part of us is not dead. It's actually alive in another dimension, and we can get it back. We can tap into it so that we can live those dreams that we thought have been shut off to us. So there are a lot of things that I want to experience from quantum jumping that are really like deep down desires of mine. And sometimes when we have those really deep ones, the ones that mean so much to us, there's so many emotions connected to it that it can be hard to allow ourselves to get in that dimension, to get into that place, because we're scared of it. We might not actually believe that it's possible. So I recommend that even when there are things like, for example, for me, I want to be able to dance again, but I want to be able to dance in the way that when I was younger, I believed people could do. And I want to be able to sing. I never really sang when I was a child, and now I'm doing it as an adult, but I'm definitely getting, these hitting up against these barriers that say like, oh, you can't do this, or memories of when I was a child and I thought I couldn't do it. Some of those are much more emotionally triggered for me, and even the healing of what I'm going through in my body, that it feels like something that I do want to believe in and access the healed part of me, but because it's a little bit far off in terms of there's too many things attached to it, that I'm kind of closing off that access a little bit too quickly because it is quite emotional for me. What I suggest is starting with things that are not so emotionally connected. So one of the things for me is that, I don't know why, but whenever I go to karaoke, I see these guys that are playing pool, and I always thought like it would be so cool if people don't expect me to be really good at pool, but I want to like quantum jump. I want to get access to the me that is like the total pool shark, the one that can just like get those really tricky shots that people would be like amazed at anybody getting them, but especially me. And that doesn't have a lot of emotional attachment for me. Like I don't get stuck on like, oh, that's impossible, or that's because I don't care either way. Like, I think it'll just be fun. So when you do this quantum jumping, what I suggest is to start with something that it doesn't have so many emotional triggers for you that stop you in your tracks from accessing that part of you. And I'm going to start working on accessing the part of me that is that pool shark. Not because that's my end goal, but because my end goal is to practice quantum jumping. I don't need to go and take lessons in pool for like years, or try to like figure out the whole science of it. When you quantum jump, you actually find the part of you that is already doing this in another lifetime. Like maybe there's a Tasleem of me that, because I studied in England in real life, maybe while I was there, instead of studying and being so academic, I did a little bit of academics and also went out more. And maybe that version of me was like at pubs more and had more fun and was playing pool a lot. And I need to access her so that I can tap into the version of me that is so great at pool that the people in this dimension that know me to not be that way would be so shocked. But I'm not going to go out and try to learn it and spend hours on it. I'm going to tap into a meditative state that allows me to find the Tasleem that already does that in another dimension. And the thing is, once you start practicing this with especially something that's not so emotionally triggering, then you see how it can work with these smaller things, and then you start saying, okay, I'm going to use it now on something bigger. Or maybe it's on some aspect of healing for you. Maybe it's a big dream that you've had for years that you've been trying to work on, and society, culture, your own not believing in yourself has made it so that you haven't been able to fulfill that dream. But once you do this with small things, like I'm going to use it with pool, I will show you I will tell you how it goes over the next few weeks, or maybe it'll be less than that, because really you can access this so quickly if you do it really like fully. Once I do that, then I can see how this works and feel how it works, and then start doing it more for bigger things that do have emotional triggers for me, but are really my deep down dreams. and I'm going to become a quantum jumping queen. Actually, I've decided that I'm going to term it something a little different. I'm going to call it quantum dancing. I'm going to save that for my next video to explain why. But yeah, I'm going to go a step further from quantum jumping to quantum dancing, and I will explain that a little bit more. I hope I have coined this term because I just came up with it. I will explain it more, what I mean by it, in my next video. Thanks for listening.